$20,000. That's what I paid a famous plastic surgeon. I wanted to make my face younger, remove my wrinkles, restore my confidence. And Dr. Stinson was the best, the most famous, the most expensive. The surgery happened. I waited 6 weeks for the swelling to go down. And when they removed the bandages and I looked in the mirror, I didn't see myself. I saw another woman, another face, a familiar face, but not mine. And a week later, when I went to the airport, police arrested me, said I was Sandra Miller, a wanted fraudster, a criminal with a $500,000 reward on her head. I said they were mistaken, said I was Eve, not Sandra. But when facial recognition matched, when police looked at my face and saw Sandra's photo, I understood. Dr. Stinson had deliberately given me a criminal's face, and now everywhere I go, I'm arrested. Listen, baby. Sit down and breathe. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to terrify you. It's going to make you question everything you think you know about cosmetic surgery, about trust, about the face you see in the mirror every day. This is a story about identity theft of the most literal kind. Someone stole my face and replaced it with someone else's. Someone wanted by the FBI. And I need you to stay with me till the very end, honey, because this nightmare is real. And it could happen to anyone. My name is Eve Thompson. Or at least, it used to be. Now, I don't know what my name is. Because the face I have isn't mine. And everywhere I go, people think I'm someone else. Someone dangerous. Someone the police are desperately looking for. Let me take you back to where this began. 18 months ago, I was 52 years old. Divorced. Successful marketing executive. Living a good life. But I was aging. And in my industry, where image matters, where youth is valued, I was feeling invisible. Passed over for promotions. Overlooked in meetings. Treated like I was already retired. You look tired, people would say. What they meant was, you look old. I started thinking about cosmetic surgery. Nothing major. Just a facelift. Some work around the eyes. Something to take 10 years off. To make me feel confident again. So I researched. Found the best plastic surgeon in the city. Dr. Marcus Stinson. Dr. Stinson had an impeccable reputation. 25 years of experience. Hundreds of satisfied clients. Celebrity clients, according to the rumors. His before and after photos were stunning. Natural results. Subtle improvements. Nothing overdone. I don't believe in dramatic changes, his website said. I believe in enhancing your natural beauty. Helping you look like the best version of yourself. That's exactly what I wanted. The consultation was in his luxurious office. Marble floors. Modern art. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Dr. Stinson himself was charming. Mid-50s. Silver hair. Confident but not arrogant. Tell me what you're hoping to achieve, he said. I want to look younger, more refreshed. I want people to see me, not my age. He studied my face carefully. You have good bone structure, excellent skin quality. I can work with this. What would you recommend? A facelift. Upper and lower blepharoplasty, that's eyelid surgery. Maybe some fat grafting to restore volume. Very natural, very subtle. You'll look like yourself, just 10 years younger. It sounded perfect. The cost was $20,000. More than I'd planned to spend. But Dr. Stinson was the best. And you get what you pay for, right? I scheduled the surgery for 6 weeks later. The pre-op appointments were thorough. Medical history. Photos from every angle. Computer simulations of expected results. This is what you'll look like, Dr. Stinson said, showing me the simulation. It was me. But younger. Fresher. Beautiful. That's perfect, I said. I'm glad you're pleased. I'll make sure the results match this simulation as closely as possible. I trusted him completely. The day of surgery arrived. I was nervous but excited. The anesthesiologist put me under, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up in recovery. My face was wrapped in bandages, swollen, painful, but that was normal, they said. The swelling will go down over the next few weeks, the nurse told me. You'll see the final results in about 6 weeks. Recovery was difficult. The pain, the swelling, the bruising. I looked like I'd been in a car accident, but Dr. Stinson's office reassured me at every follow-up. This is completely normal. You're healing beautifully. 6 weeks later, the swelling had mostly subsided. Time for the big reveal. I went to Dr. Stinson's office for my final bandage removal. Sat in his exam room, nervous and excited. Ready to see the results? He asked. Yes. He carefully removed the remaining dressings and surgical tape. Handed me a mirror. Take a look. I looked. And baby, what I saw made my blood run cold. It wasn't me. The face looking back at me wasn't my face. It was younger, yes. The wrinkles were gone. The eyes were lifted. But it wasn't me. The proportions were different. The shape was different. It was someone else's face. This isn't right, I said, my voice shaking. What do you mean? This isn't what we discussed. This isn't the simulation you showed me. Eve, this is exactly what we discussed. This is your face, just younger. No. No, this is wrong. I look like someone else. Dr. Stinson frowned. You're experiencing post-surgical shock. It's very common. Your brain needs time to adjust to your new appearance. Give it a few weeks and you'll love it. But I didn't love it. For weeks, I stared at my reflection, trying to recognize myself, trying to see Eve Thompson in that face. But I couldn't. I saw a stranger, a woman who looked vaguely familiar but wasn't me. My friends and family were horrified. Oh my God, Eve, what did he do to you? My sister gasped when she saw me. You look completely different, my best friend said. I wouldn't have recognized you on the street. It's supposed to look natural, I said, trying to convince myself as much as them. Dr. Stinson said it takes time to adjust, but even I didn't believe it. I went back to Dr. Stinson. I want you to fix this. I want my face back. Eve, there's nothing to fix. The surgery was a complete success. You look beautiful. I don't look like me. You look like a younger version of yourself. That's what you asked for. No, I asked to look like myself but younger. This is someone else's face. You're being dramatic. And unfortunately, I can't perform any corrective procedures for at least a year. Your tissues need to fully heal first. I consulted other plastic surgeons. Can you reverse this? Can you make me look like myself again? They all said the same thing. Reversing a facelift is extremely difficult. We can make adjustments, but we can't give you back your exact original face. I was trapped, stuck with a face that wasn't mine. The worst part was the nagging feeling of familiarity. This face looked familiar, but I couldn't place why. Had I seen this face somewhere before? Was it someone I knew? Someone famous? I couldn't figure it out. And then, 3 weeks after the final reveal, everything fell apart. I was at the airport, flying to a conference for work. Going through TSA security, I handed the agent my driver's license and boarding pass. She looked at the license, looked at my face, looked at the license again, and pressed a button. Within seconds, I was surrounded by TSA agents. Ma'am, come with us, please. What's wrong? Just come with us. They took me to a private room. And then the police arrived. Eve Thompson? the officer asked. Yes, that's me. Can you explain why your face matches Sandra Miller? Who? He showed me a photo on his tablet. And my heart stopped. It was me. The face I now had. But the name under the photo wasn't Eve Thompson. It was Sandra Miller. Wanted by the FBI for wire fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. $500,000 reward for information leading to her capture. That's not me, I said. I'm Eve Thompson. Here's my license. This license has your name but her face. How do you explain that? I had plastic surgery. That's my face now, but I'm not Sandra Miller. So you admit you had surgery to look like a wanted fugitive? No, I didn't know. The surgeon, he must have. I don't know what happened, but I'm not her. They arrested me, took me to a federal holding facility, ran my fingerprints, ran my DNA, and the tests confirmed it. I was Eve Thompson, not Sandra Miller. But my face was identical to Sandra's. How is this possible? The FBI agent asked me. I don't know, I had a facelift. And the surgeon, Dr. Stinson, he gave me this face. You're saying your plastic surgeon deliberately made you look like a wanted fugitive? I don't know if it was deliberate, but that's what happened. They held me for 24 hours while they investigated. Finally released me with a warning. Your identification checks out, but you're going to have problems. Every facial recognition system in the country is going to flag you as Sandra Miller. What am I supposed to do? Carry multiple forms of ID. Be prepared to be detained frequently until this is resolved. Can't you update the systems? Tell them I'm not her? We can add a note to your file. But facial recognition is automated. It's going to flag you regardless. I went straight to Dr. Stinson's office. Demanded to see him immediately. What did you do to me? I shouted. Why do I look exactly like a wanted criminal? He looked genuinely confused. What are you talking about? I showed him the photo of Sandra Miller. Showed him my new face. They were identical. His face went pale. This is impossible. But it happened. You made me look exactly like her. Eve, I had no idea. The proportions, the features, they must have coincidentally matched. Coincidentally? This is too exact to be coincidence. I don't know what to tell you. I used the measurements we discussed. I followed standard procedures. Then explain how I ended up with her face. He couldn't. Or wouldn't. I hired a lawyer. Filed a malpractice suit. This surgeon either incompetent or malicious. Either way, he destroyed my life. But proving it was difficult. Did he have access to photos of Sandra Miller? My lawyer asked. I don't know. How would I know? Did he ever mention her? No. Then we'll have a hard time proving intent. We can prove the outcome is terrible. But proving he did it on purpose? That's nearly impossible. Meanwhile, my life became a nightmare. I was detained at the airport 3 more times in 2 months. Each time, I had to prove I wasn't Sandra Miller. Each time, it took hours. Eventually, I stopped flying. Too traumatic. Too humiliating. I was pulled over for a routine traffic stop. The officer ran my license. And suddenly, I was face down on the pavement, being handcuffed. We got her. We got Sandra Miller. I'm not Sandra Miller. Check my fingerprints. They did. Eventually, after holding me for 6 hours. Our apologies, ma'am. But you understand. You look exactly like a dangerous fugitive. I understood. But it didn't make it any easier. I couldn't go anywhere without being recognized. Not as Eve Thompson, but as Sandra Miller. People would stare. Point. Whisper. That's her. That's the woman from the FBI wanted poster. Some people called the police. Some people followed me, trying to get photos for the reward money. I became a prisoner in my own home. I lost my job. Eve, we love your work. But the constant interruptions, police showing up, clients being uncomfortable, we can't have that in our office. I couldn't get another job. We ran a background check, and while your record is clean, we can't risk the liability of employing someone who's constantly mistaken for a wanted criminal. My social life disappeared. Friends stopped inviting me places. It's just awkward, Eve. Last time we went to dinner, the police showed up. It's too much drama. I was completely isolated. The lawsuit against Dr. Stinson dragged on for months. His lawyers argued that the resemblance to Sandra Miller was an unfortunate coincidence. Faces have limited variations, they claimed. It's statistically possible for two unrelated people to look nearly identical. But this isn't nearly identical, my lawyer countered. This is exact. Facial recognition software can't tell them apart. That speaks to limitations in the technology, not negligence by Dr. Stinson. We subpoenaed Dr. Stinson's records. Wanted to see if he'd had any connection to Sandra Miller, if he'd used her photos as a reference, if there was any evidence of intent. His lawyers fought it. Doctor-patient confidentiality, proprietary surgical techniques. You can't just go fishing through his files. The judge allowed limited discovery. We could see my file specifically, but nothing else. My surgical file showed all the standard measurements, photos, simulations, notes, nothing that referenced Sandra Miller, nothing that proved he'd deliberately copied her face. Either he's very careful, my lawyer said, or it really was a terrible coincidence. You don't believe that? No. But I can't prove otherwise, not without access to his other files. Meanwhile, the FBI was no help. We're actively searching for Sandra Miller, they told me. Your situation is unfortunate, but we can't change our wanted posters just because you look like her. But I'm being arrested constantly. We've added a note to your file. Every law enforcement agency in the country has been notified that you're not Sandra Miller, but facial recognition is automated. We can't control that. So what am I supposed to do? Carry extensive identification. Be patient when you're detained. We're doing everything we can. It wasn't enough. I hired a private investigator. Find out everything you can about Dr. Stinson. Any connection to Sandra Miller. Any reason he'd want to do this to me. The investigator worked for 3 months and found something. Dr. Stinson's daughter was a victim of Sandra Miller's fraud, he told me. My heart raced. What? 5 years ago. Sandra Miller ran an investment scam. Dr. Stinson's daughter, Rebecca, lost $300,000. Her entire savings. Did Dr. Stinson know? Yes. He testified at Sandra's trial, spoke about the impact on his daughter. Rebecca attempted suicide after losing the money. She survived, but she's never fully recovered. Motive. Dr. Stinson had motive. He blamed Sandra Miller for destroying his daughter's life. And now Sandra was a fugitive. The FBI couldn't find her. So he created a decoy. Me. If I look like Sandra, I realized, every facial recognition system flags me. Every police officer stops me. The FBI thinks they keep finding her, but it's just me. Exactly. You're a distraction. While law enforcement is busy chasing you, the real Sandra Miller stays hidden. But why me? Why did he choose me? The investigator pulled out more documents. Sandra Miller had plastic surgery before she went on the run. We found her medical records. Want to guess who her surgeon was? My blood ran cold. Dr. Stinson. He did her facelift 2 years ago. He has detailed photos and measurements of her face, and when you came to him for surgery, he used those measurements on you. We had evidence. Not conclusive proof, but enough to build a case. Dr. Stinson had access to Sandra Miller's facial structure. He had motive, revenge for what she did to his daughter. And he had opportunity. You, a trusting patient who gave him control over your face? My lawyer was excited. This changes everything. We can amend the lawsuit, add intentional infliction of emotional distress, fraud, maybe even conspiracy. But before we could file the amended lawsuit, something happened. The FBI caught Sandra Miller. She was arrested in Mexico, living under an assumed name, working as a restaurant hostess. They extradited her back to the U.S., and when I saw her on the news, being walked into the courthouse in handcuffs, I was looking at myself, or she was looking at me. We were identical. The media went crazy. Woman given face of fugitive by plastic surgeon? Daughter's revenge. Did surgeon create decoy to distract FBI? The face swap, woman's life ruined by resemblance to criminal. My story was everywhere. I was interviewed by dozens of reporters. How does it feel to have someone else's face? Like, I don't exist anymore. Like Eve Thompson died and was replaced by Sandra Miller. Are you angry at Dr. Stinson? Angry doesn't begin to cover it. He destroyed my life, took my identity, made me unemployable, turned me into a constant suspect. What do you want to happen now? I want my face back. And I want him to pay for what he did. Dr. Stinson's medical license was suspended pending investigation. The medical board opened a formal inquiry. If Dr. Stinson deliberately altered a patient's appearance to match a wanted criminal, that's gross negligence at minimum. Possibly criminal. His practice shut down. His other patients came forward with complaints. He didn't give me the face we discussed. My results don't match the simulation he showed me. I look like someone else entirely. A pattern emerged. Dr. Stinson had been giving patients faces that didn't match what they'd requested. Not always criminals, but always wrong. I think he was experimenting, one former patient said, using us as test subjects for facial reconstruction techniques. Another theory, he had a God complex. Wanted to create faces, not just modify them. But I believed the investigator's theory. He'd given me Sandra Miller's face deliberately, as revenge for what she'd done to his daughter. To create chaos, to distract law enforcement, to make Sandra's life harder if she was ever caught, because now her face wasn't unique anymore. The amended lawsuit moved forward. Dr. Stinson had motive, means, and opportunity to deliberately give you Sandra Miller's face. We believe he did so as an act of revenge against Sandra, with callous disregard for the impact on you. His lawyers denied everything. Circumstantial evidence, speculation. You can't prove intent. But then, Rebecca Stinson, his daughter, came forward. She contacted my lawyer directly. I need to tell the truth. We met at a coffee shop. Rebecca was 32, looked haunted, broken. My father did this, she said without preamble. He gave you Sandra's face on purpose. How do you know? Because he told me. Said he was creating decoys, people who looked like Sandra, to confuse law enforcement, to make her life harder, to get revenge for what she did to me. Did he say how many decoys? She looked down at her hands. You're the third. My blood ran cold. There are others? 2 before you. He gave them Sandra's face too. But they live in different states. They've had the same problems you have. Arrested constantly, mistaken for Sandra. Why didn't they come forward? They did. They sued. He settled both cases with non-disclosure agreements. Paid them off to stay quiet. Then why are you telling me? Because this has to stop. What Sandra did to me was horrible. But what my father is doing, ruining innocent people's lives for revenge, that's worse. With Rebecca's testimony, the case shifted. Dr. Stinson deliberately and repeatedly gave patients the face of a wanted criminal, knowing it would destroy their lives. This isn't malpractice, this is assault. This is criminal. The district attorney opened a criminal investigation. Dr. Stinson was arrested, charged with aggravated assault, using surgery as a weapon, fraud, practicing medicine with malicious intent, violation of medical ethics. He posted bail and awaited trial. I found the other two victims, both women. Both had the same story. I went to Dr. Stinson for a facelift. Woke up looking like Sandra Miller. My life fell apart. One had lost her job, her home, her children in a custody battle. My ex-husband argued I was unstable and dangerous because I looked like a criminal. The judge believed him. The other had been arrested 17 times in 18 months. I've been shot at twice by police who thought I was Sandra resisting arrest. I have PTSD now. I can't leave my house. We formed a support group. 3 women who'd been given the same stolen face. 3 women whose lives had been destroyed by a surgeon's revenge plot. We're victims of Sandra's crimes too, one said. Even though we never met her. She stole our faces after she stole our identities. The trial was a media circus. Every news outlet covered it. Plastic surgeon accused of creating criminal decoys. 3 women given fugitive's face without consent. The ultimate identity theft, when your surgeon steals your face. Dr. Stinson's defense was weak. My client made errors in judgment, but had no malicious intent. But Rebecca testified against him. He told me exactly what he was doing. He said he was making Sandra's life harder, making her pay for what she did. He knew these women would suffer and he didn't care. The prosecution was brutal. Dr. Stinson used his medical skills to attack innocent women. He turned them into targets, made them unemployable, made them live in fear. And he did it deliberately, repeatedly, as part of a twisted revenge fantasy. I testified about the impact on my life. I lost my job, my friends, my identity. I can't go anywhere without being detained. I've been handcuffed, thrown to the ground, locked up, all because a surgeon decided to use my face as a weapon in his personal vendetta. The jury deliberated for 2 days. Found him guilty on all counts. Sentencing was scheduled for a month later. The judge was harsh. Dr. Stinson, you violated the fundamental trust between doctor and patient. You used your skills to harm rather than heal. You destroyed 3 women's lives for your own selfish purposes. You deserve the maximum penalty. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. His medical license was permanently revoked, and he was ordered to pay each of us $2 million in damages. $2 million. It wasn't enough. No amount of money could give me back my face, my identity, my life. But it was something. What will you do with the money? The other victims asked me. Corrective surgery. I'm going to find a surgeon I can trust and try to get my face back. Do you think that's possible? I don't know. But I have to try. I found a surgeon in Switzerland. Dr. Elena Rostova. Specialist in facial reconstruction. She reviewed my case carefully. This is complex. Dr. Stinson made significant structural changes. To reverse them, I'll need to do extensive work. Multiple procedures. Can you make me look like myself again? I can try. But understand, we can't recreate your exact original face. Too much has changed. The best I can do is move you away from Sandra Miller's appearance towards something more like your original structure. So, I'll never be Eve Thompson again? Not exactly. But you won't be Sandra Miller either. You'll be someone in between. I thought about it for weeks. Did I want to risk more surgery? Trust another surgeon? Put myself through more recovery? Or did I just accept this face and try to build a life around it? I decided to have the surgery. Not because I believed I could fully become Eve Thompson again, but because I couldn't keep living as Sandra Miller's twin. Couldn't keep being arrested, being stared at, being feared. I needed a face that was mine. Even if it wasn't the original one. The surgery in Switzerland was scheduled for 3 months out. Dr. Rostova wanted extensive planning. We'll do this in stages. First surgery to restructure the foundation. Second surgery 6 months later for refinement. Possibly a third for final adjustments. How long total? A year and a half? Maybe 2 years? 2 years to try to get myself back. But I didn't have a choice. While I waited, I tried to rebuild what I could of my life. But it was impossible. Every job application was rejected once they saw me. Every apartment I tried to rent, the landlord would recognize my face and refuse. We can't have that kind of attention on our property. Dating was out of the question. The few men who expressed interest quickly backed away once they realized who I looked like. It's just too weird, sorry. I lived off the settlement money. $2 million sounds like a lot. But after legal fees, after paying for the corrective surgeries, after covering living expenses in Switzerland for 2 years, it would be tight. I had to budget carefully. The other 2 victims and I stayed in touch. Lisa, the one who'd lost custody of her kids, was fighting to get them back. My ex is using my face against me in court, says I'm a bad influence, that the kids are scared of me because I look like a criminal. Can't you explain it was the surgeon's fault? I do. But when the kids look at me, they see Sandra Miller from the FBI posters. They're 8 and 10. They don't understand the nuance. They just know mommy looks like a bad person. Rachel, the one who'd been shot at by police, had become a recluse. I don't leave my house anymore. Groceries delivered, everything online. I can't risk being in public. What about the corrective surgery? I can't afford it. The settlement money went to paying off debt from being unemployed so long. I'm stuck like this forever. At least I had a path forward. A way to potentially escape this nightmare. Lisa and Rachel weren't so lucky. I flew to Switzerland a week before the first surgery. Dr. Rostova wanted me to meet with her team. Do final consultations. Prepare mentally. This is going to be difficult, she warned me. Not just physically, psychologically. You're going to go through another identity transition. Another period of not recognizing yourself. I'm ready. Are you? Because the last time you did this, it was without your knowledge or consent. This time, you're choosing it. But that doesn't make it easier. She was right. The first surgery took 8 hours. They restructured my cheekbones, jawline, and forehead. The parts that most closely matched Sandra Miller's facial recognition points. Recovery was brutal. Worse than the first surgery because Dr. Rostova was correcting Dr. Stinson's work. Breaking bones. Repositioning structures. Rebuilding. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Another month in a recovery suite in Zurich. The pain was constant. The swelling was extreme. And I couldn't see the results yet. You have to be patient, Dr. Rostova kept saying. This is a process. But patience was hard when I looked in the mirror and saw a swollen, bruised monster. Neither Eve nor Sandra. Just damaged. The swelling took 3 months to fully subside. And when it did, I finally saw what Dr. Rostova had done. I looked different. Not Eve. Not Sandra. Someone else. A third face. This is the foundation, Dr. Rostova explained. We've moved away from Sandra's structure. Now we'll refine toward your original features. Will I ever look like myself again? You'll look like a version of yourself. Different, but recognizably you. I flew back to the US for the 6-month waiting period between surgeries, and immediately got arrested at customs. That's Sandra Miller. No, I've had corrective surgery. But the facial recognition system still flagged me. Took 4 hours to clear up. The system is still matching you, the customs agent explained. You'll need to wait until you're completely done with all the surgeries before we can update our databases. So I was still trapped. Still Sandra Miller in the eyes of every computer, every camera, every law enforcement system. I moved into a small apartment and waited. 6 months until the next surgery. 6 months of continued arrests, continued suspicion, continued nightmare. During that time, Sandra Miller herself was sentenced. 15 years in federal prison for fraud, money laundering, and identity theft. I watched her sentencing on TV. Watched this woman whose face had become mine. And felt nothing. Not satisfaction that she was going to prison. Not anger that she'd indirectly ruined my life. Just emptiness. The judge asked Sandra if she had anything to say. She stood up. I want to apologize to my victims. What I did was wrong. I stole their money, their trust, their security. I can never make that right. But I'll spend every day trying to become a better person. Pretty words. But they didn't help me. She'd stolen more than money from people. She'd stolen my face. After the sentencing, I got a letter. From Sandra. Forwarded through my lawyer. Dear Eve, I know you have no reason to listen to me. But I want you to know that I'm sorry for what happened to you. I never asked Dr. Stinson to give you my face. I had no idea he was doing that. But it's still my fault. If I hadn't committed crimes, hadn't become a fugitive, Dr. Stinson wouldn't have been so angry. You're an innocent victim of my terrible choices. I'm sorry. I know sorry isn't enough. But it's all I have. Sandra Miller. I read the letter 3 times. Then burned it. Because she was right. Sorry wasn't enough. The second surgery came 6 months later. Another trip to Switzerland. Another round of reconstruction. This time, Dr. Rostova focused on the details. Eyes, nose, lips. The subtle features that make a face recognizable. She had my old photos, my old measurements. She was trying to rebuild Eve Thompson. I can't promise perfection, she said before the surgery. But I can promise you won't look like Sandra Miller anymore. That was enough. The second surgery was shorter. 5 hours. Recovery was still painful but more manageable. And this time, when the swelling went down, I saw something familiar in the mirror. Not exactly me, but close. You look like Eve Thompson's sister, my actual sister said when she saw the results. Like a relative. It's close but not quite you. Is it good enough? She thought about it. It's good enough that I'd recognize you on the street. It's good enough that you look like yourself, not someone else. Is that what you mean by good enough? Yes. Then yes. It's good enough. Dr. Rostova was pleased. We've successfully moved you away from Sandra Miller's facial structure. The facial recognition systems should no longer flag you. Should? I can't guarantee 100%. But we've changed enough key markers that you should pass as a different person. I flew back to the US. Went through customs holding my breath. The facial recognition scanned me. And nothing. No flags. No alerts. No arrest. I walked through without incident. For the first time in 18 months, I wasn't Sandra Miller. I was someone. Not quite Eve Thompson. But not Sandra Miller either. Someone in between. Someone new. I decided to embrace it. Legally changed my middle name to my first name. Eve Thompson became Marie Thompson. A fresh start. A new identity. someone without the baggage of being Sandra Miller's twin. Getting a job was still difficult. What happened to your face? Interviewers would ask, seeing the scars, the slight asymmetry from multiple surgeries. Medical reconstruction. Long story. Some wouldn't hire me because of it. But eventually I found a company that didn't care. A small marketing firm that valued skills over appearance. You're good at what you do. That's all that matters. I started rebuilding my social life. Slowly. Carefully. Met people who'd never known Eve Thompson. Never seen Sandra Miller's wanted posters. They just knew Marie. The woman with the interesting face and the mysterious past. Dating was still complicated. Why do you have so much scarring? One man asked. I had reconstructive surgery after a medical procedure went wrong. What kind of procedure? It's a long story. Some men pressed for details. Those relationships ended quickly. Others respected my privacy. Those had potential. I met someone eventually. David. A widower with his own complicated past. I don't need to know everything about you right away, he said early on. We all have stories, we all have scars. Yours just happened to be visible. I appreciated that. Appreciated being seen as more than my face. 6 months into our relationship, I told him everything. The surgery. Sandra Miller. The arrests. The lawsuit. The revenge plot. All of it. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. That's horrifying, he finally said. I know. But you survived it. You fought back. You rebuilt. That's incredible. We got married 2 years later. At the courthouse, just us and 2 witnesses. No big celebration. No photos. I was still wary of cameras, of facial recognition, of being identified. Even though the systems no longer flagged me, the trauma remained. Dr. Stinson served his 15 years. Was released from prison last month. I got a notification from the Victim Services Office. The offender in your case has been released. He is not allowed to contact you per restraining order. If he violates this order, call police immediately. Part of me was angry that he was out, free to rebuild his life while I was still dealing with the consequences of what he'd done. But another part of me just felt tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of being a victim. Ready to move on. I'll never fully recover from what Dr. Stinson did to me. I'll never have my original face back. I'll never not wonder what if when I look in the mirror. What if I'd never had that surgery? What if I'd chosen a different surgeon? What if I'd just aged naturally? But I'm alive. I'm rebuilding. I have a new name, a new face, a new life. It's not the life I planned, but it's mine. The other 2 victims are still struggling. Lisa finally regained partial custody of her kids. But they're still uncomfortable around her. They call me by my first name now, she told me. Not Mom. They can't see me as their mother anymore, just Lisa. The woman who looks wrong? Rachel is still homebound. Her agoraphobia is severe. She can't afford more surgery. Can't face the world with Sandra Miller's face. She's trapped in a way I manage to escape. I send them money sometimes. Part of my settlement. Part of my salary. It's the least I can do. We're bonded by trauma. By this shared nightmare. We're the 3 women who were given the same stolen face. The 3 victims of a surgeon's revenge. Sandra Miller is still in prison. Still serving her 15 years. Sometimes I wonder if she knows about us. The 3 women walking around with her face. The decoys her surgeon created. Does she think about us? Does she feel guilty? Does she understand that her crimes rippled out in ways she never imagined? I don't think about her much anymore. She's just a name, a story. a piece of my past. Not my identity, not my face, just someone whose choices affected me in ways neither of us could have predicted. People ask me sometimes, "Do you regret having that first surgery?" Of course I do. But regret doesn't change anything. I can't go back and unmake that choice. I can only move forward with the consequences. I've learned things I wish I didn't know. That your face is more fragile than you think. That identity can be stolen in the most literal way. That trusting the wrong person, even a doctor, can destroy your life. That the systems meant to protect us can become prisons when they malfunction. But I've also learned about resilience, about the ability to survive the unsurvivable, about building a life from ruins, about finding yourself when yourself has been taken away. I'm 44 now, 2 years older than when this nightmare began. But I feel decades older, aged by trauma, by loss, by reconstruction. When I look in the mirror, I see Marie Thompson. Not Eve, not Sandra, Marie. A third face, a third identity, someone who was forged in the fire of betrayal, someone who survived. And that's enough. It has to be. Because I can't change the past, can't get my original face back, can't undo what Dr. Stinson did to me. All I can do is live, keep moving forward. Keep being Marie Thompson, and try to make this life, this new, unexpected, reconstructed life, worth living. Baby, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about plastic surgery, hear me. Research your surgeon extensively. Check their background, their history, their reviews. Meet multiple doctors. Get multiple opinions. Ask detailed questions about the procedure, the risks, the expected results, and most importantly, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, walk away. No surgery is worth risking your identity. No change is worth losing yourself. My name is Marie Thompson. I used to be Eve Thompson. For a while, I was mistaken for Sandra Miller. Now I'm just me. Scarred, rebuilt, surviving, and trying every day to make peace with the face looking back at me in the mirror. Final reflections. Your face is your identity. Once it's changed, you can never fully get it back. Trust your surgeons carefully. They have more power over your life than you realize. Revenge plots always hurt innocent people. Dr. Stinson's anger at Sandra destroyed 3 women's lives. Facial recognition systems are powerful and imperfect. Being flagged by them can destroy your life. Identity is more than biology. It's recognition, memory, continuity. Lose that, and you lose yourself. Some wounds don't heal. You just learn to carry them differently. Resilience isn't about bouncing back. It's about learning to function with permanent damage. You can't reclaim what's taken, but you can build something new from what remains. Sometimes surviving is enough. You don't have to thrive. Just survive.